Well, people in Enterprise are voicing concerns about the rezoning of 300 acres. Now, city officials have to decide whether they keep the land the way it is or change it to accommodate industry. News 4's Will Polston has the breakdown from tonight's meeting.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Enterprise city officials adopted multiple ordinances to rezone nearly 300 acres of land for industrial use, but it wasn't met without opposition.
There is not one person that I have spoken to who wants this in our neighborhood.
If you can move it someplace outside, would it not still have some kind of economic impact on Enterprise?
Probably selling my house and moving if this goes forward.
Many were concerned about a potential wood plant coming to Enterprise after city officials toured a similar facility. City Administrator Jonathan Tullis says that is not the case.
We have no current plans, the engineering department, no permitting with the state, nothing that would even begin to let us talk about a facility being built.
Councilman Turner Townsend says many of the people's concerns wouldn't be an issue after touring the facility himself.
I feel that many of the statements made tonight were rather hyperbolic and exaggerations. The comments of putrid smells and those things, just not true, based on our observations.
Even with the council's attempt to ease the public, people were still left concerned.
Tonight, I am very disappointed that our city council would not take a breather and allow us to get out into the community so everyone was aware of this.
In Enterprise, Will Polston for your hometown news leader.
Now, Councilman Townsend says that the decision can be reversed later on as there are still steps to be taken before welcoming a new business to Enterprise.